doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that this is a safe space, and anything that you say will be kept confidential unless I think that you're at danger of harming yourself or someone else. So what are you doing today?
Well, my boyfriend, John, has been, really worried about me. I notice it sometimes, but not always, so I'm not really, acknowledging what he sees all the time. He notices that I'm always, making sure the door is locked. I do check it a lot, the back door and the basement door, and then all the windows throughout the house to make sure that they're locked, especially before we go to bed. But in the mornings, too, if I'm by myself. So, I do that a lot. And I had a really hard time. I was driving, and I was passing someone that was on the sidewalk, and I thought that I had hit them, and I thought I killed him. And so I kept looking back in my rearview mirror to see if he was still there, or if I had hit him, because I was just going to turn around. I was starting a U-turn, and I could see him, but I just kept feeling like I hit him or I killed him, and I just couldn't get past that thought. So I kept looking back and, checking to make sure. And he was there every time, but, I had to check 30 times.
Okay. So you mentioned that it's a safety thing as well as you feared that you hit someone, but mostly it's with your house and with checking?
Yeah, I do that, and just with cleaning too, and just I buy food for myself and separate food for my family, because I think that there might be a cross contamination with the germs and everything. So I wash my dishes before I wash anyone else's, and I buy my own food for myself, and my family knows not to touch my food, and I don't touch their food.
Okay.
And so it just takes up a lot of time in my day. It can take up to 4 hours, of either, checking and rechecking the locks on the doors and windows, and then washing dishes, or even washing my sheets and my comforter, and I wash it weekly because I'm scared that there are going to be germs and everything.
Okay. That sounds like it's very distressing.
It is. It takes up a lot of time. And especially with the driving, it causes me a lot of anxiety and worry, because I think I killed somebody, and that would be my fault. And I, if I can try to save them or, whatnot, I want to try to do that.
And so when you have these thoughts of being anxious and thinking that you might have harmed somebody, what is it that usually starts those thoughts?
I don't know. Now it's just almost it's part of my daily routine, just what if someone breaks into the house and someone hurts my family, or, and then going back to the driving, what if I killed somebody,
Right.
So it's just a constant, belief that I have, and even though I know that it's not realistic of me to have that thought that, I just killed someone, even though I can physically see them walking and that they're standing and they're fine and they're not bleeding. And I know that it's unrealistic, but at the same time, I can't reason with myself and say, he's standing there, he's okay, and just get past it. So it's just constant. And I just keep thinking about it, and then, and acting on things with washing the dishes. I'm thinking that there are germs. I can't get that out of my head, but, I feel if I clean it constantly to, for a certain amount of times or for a certain, duration, then the germs will be gone.
Okay. So I hear you saying a lot about, you're spending a lot of time with this. It's causing you a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And it seems like it might be, like you mentioned, John was not very happy with it.
Yeah, he understands, but at the same time, I don't think he understands why I do it, and I guess I really don't understand why I do it either. I can't make myself stop. But he doesn't, he's not going to tell me, stop doing what you're doing, but he'll be like, Sally, the doors are locked. You checked them, 20 times already, but I'll still go check again.
Okay. So at least, I mean, it is good that you do have that support.
Mm-hmm.
But could you tell me just a little bit about how long your symptoms have been going on?
Yeah. Well, they started when I was younger. I guess I was like in high school. That's when I started doing like the checking of the doors, but it was never as extreme. It just recently, with like the car, that's the most distressing to me, just because I don't want to hurt anybody. And so that happened, gosh, I think like 6 months ago. And so that is what kind of really bothers me. But that's when probably 6 months ago is when it became as extreme as it is today.
Okay.
But high school is probably when it started.
Okay. Do you feel that you mentioned you have children?
Yes. Yeah.
And so could you tell me just a little bit about your family life?
Yeah. So my husband and I have been together for 30 years, and we have a 1-year-old daughter, and she doesn't really, acknowledge what I'm doing yet, because she's so little. But she, I think she notices, because, like, I can't give her the time I want to give her because, with certain things, because, if I'm cleaning or checking the doors, like I said, it takes about, 4 hours out of my day. So that's time that I should be spending with her, So she'll just be, playing in her playpen or taking a nap. And during her nap time, instead of, being able to relax or take a nap too, because 1-year-olds, they keep you busy. Right. But I'm checking doors and I'm cleaning and washing sheets, and which like is things that need to be done, of course, but not. I feel like I shouldn't be doing them to the level that I am.
Okay. So ideally, in your words, how would you, if you could have just one magic cure from this therapy, or several magic cures, what would you say that would be?
I think it would just be just like having relief from like the want and the need to carry out these acts, just I guess feel relaxed from them, and be able to be with my family and enjoy dinner or drive with my family in the car and not be worrying about hurting someone, or washing the dishes when we could be having a nice family conversation, or, so I think just the, obsessing about what's happening. If I could just stop doing that and then carrying out the acts, of actually, physically washing everything and whatnot. So that would probably be amazing.
Okay. Well, the good thing is that that's a goal that, is set in concrete terms, and I think that's something that we could actually work towards. So I think that, with a little bit of time and maybe a little bit more therapy, that these are goals we could achieve.
I'm glad. That gives me hope, going forward, because it does just cause a lot of stress in my life and my family's life, and especially with my daughter, aging and growing up. I want to be there for her for every minute, that I can, and, this is just taking up too much time to interfere with her, they're way more important than, just like these obsessions that I have that are realistic.
Right. Could you tell me just a little bit about how you feel you might react if you couldn't, check your doors, or if you couldn't look back to make sure that the man was okay, or...
I think I would just have a panic attack almost. Because my worry and like my anxiety is so extreme that and I have it even with looking, so I can't imagine like not doing it, I just think that I would just like go crazy and just have a panic attack just like right there. Yeah, I can't even imagine not being able to like complete the task.
That sounds very scary.
Yes, yeah. I know it's unrealistic, like I really do, but like, even though I know that, I just can't, do anything about it, I guess alone, which is why, I'm here with you, but, yeah, it is scary.
Okay. Well, and it takes a lot of courage for you to be able to come here and talk, about this, and I think that's a great first step, and I think that this is something that you can beat, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come and talk about it.
I appreciate it.
So apart from your current symptoms, is there anybody in your family that has felt like you're feeling now, or?
I don't know specifically with how I'm feeling. I know that my mom does have anxiety, and I think my brother does too.
Okay.
But I don't think they have the exact same symptoms that I do. I know that they both have like a low dose of like anxiety medication, and they take that as needed on like a regular basis, I guess, but not scheduled, like what I mean. But yeah, they do.
Okay. And so the anxiety, and that is something that you actually do feel too a little bit in relation to your symptoms.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about what it was like for you growing up as a child.
Yeah, I have a little brother and my mom and dad. They're still happily married today, and we were very active in our school, active in sports. My brother played baseball, and I played some soccer on and off throughout my childhood. And my mom had anxiety pretty much throughout my childhood. I think it was just like a lot of like keeping up with my brother and I, and worrying about like school and getting us to practice and everything, because my dad worked full time, so she pretty much did the balancing of the schedules between my brother and I and herself as well. And so yeah, it wasn't until high school, so I think I was like 16 or 17 years old, that I started having like these types of problems. And I really don't know what caused it. Like, it felt pretty sudden. Like all of a sudden, like I just started like making sure the doors were locked. Like I'd say goodbye to or goodnight to my parents and my brother, and then I would always like make a round around the house to lock the doors. And then it just became, like just a regular routine. But I don't know where it became like obsessive, like where I started doing it constantly throughout the day. It wasn't as severe, I guess, when I was in high school, because I was at school 8 hours a day, and then I was at practice too. So it mainly just happened at night, just making sure the doors were locked and the windows were locked before I went to sleep.
Yeah.
And then, now that I'm a stay-at-home mom, it's more severe. But yeah, I had a great family life. We had a lot of things in common. We tried to go on vacation yearly and just like have that family time, that family bond. And then my brother started having anxiety. He was bullied a little bit throughout middle school and everything. So just a lot of anxiety, like going to school and just being bullied. And I think he probably suffered from some depression too. But we haven't exactly, talked about that aspect. So I'm not sure if he takes any medications for that, because I think it was like not a phase, but like he went through it and it made him stronger. And like I think he's okay today, Yeah. Other than just having, anxiety with just like daily activities and daily stressors. But, yeah, I'm very thankful for my family. I'm glad that we have a very open conversation about, I guess, like what we're feeling and like mental illness in our family. And then I think they sympathize a little bit more with what I'm going through, because they do have anxiety. And although they don't, have the exact same symptoms, they know like what anxiety feels like. It might not be the exact same as mine, but, John doesn't suffer from any kind of anxiety, and I know he tries to understand, like, as best as he can, But until I think you felt that way, and that you can't do anything about it, or you don't know what's causing it, then you can't really, understand to the same extent. So, we always, like, try to talk about it,
Yeah.
And,
so it's very good that you have your family and that they do understand and can help you.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe they can help John, learn a little bit too about how to, understand and how to help you too.
Yes. And I think that maybe in the future, like even bringing him into therapy therapy with me, I think would be beneficial too, because he wants to learn more.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's accepting, and I'm very lucky for that. But I think that he can accept even more, understand more, and just have more of like the psychoeducation of it. And then I think that would be beneficial just for our family, because if I'm having these symptoms, maybe there's ways that he can help me cope or help me acknowledge what I'm doing is, not okay, but, isn't necessarily, normal, or just help me acknowledge, okay, I'm doing it, so I need to figure out a way to cope, or, to distract myself, or, I'm not really sure, but.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, and something that definitely could help you in the long run, as far as, teaching you coping skills, as well as teaching him, how to prompt you into going for those coping skills.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
Thank you.
So I'd like to talk just a little bit more about like your history as far as so you mentioned that do you think that as a child you got to see your mom a lot exhibiting anxious behaviors?
I think sometimes I always tried as a kid to help her, I guess, and take those stressors away as much as I could. Just for example, if my brother was struggling with homework and she couldn't help him or figure out, what it is, because what they teach kids, nowadays is awful.
Right.
Or really complex, I guess. So since I had, been there just a couple years, earlier, I was able to help, with homework or something. So, things like that would kind of, reduce her anxiety, and I would be able to help her. Similar with, my dad is awful with technology. He can't do it to save his life. So, he would be, getting upset about the, how the computer's not working properly or something like that. And so I would try to help him as much as I could just to relieve her anxiety and stress. So I definitely saw it, growing up and still today, and I do my best, to reduce it, just because things that are more difficult for her sometimes come easier to me. And so I would rather help and take that extra step to help both of them than have her feel those ways. And I feel like I absorb her energy. If she's anxious, I feel her anxiety immediately. So it kind of helps me too, I guess, in a way.
Okay. And so it sounds like you definitely took on a caretaker role in your family.
Yes, absolutely. I always wanted to help as much as I could. And it was always, simple things. And I think my parents do so much for me, so I should be able to help them in the ways that I can. I was a kid, but there's still little things that really helped, even though they were small things.
Of course. I'm sure your mother appreciated that.
I think she does. I think she still does.
Still does. That's
yeah.
Good. Okay. Have you ever, switching gears just a little bit, have you ever sought counseling for these symptoms before?
I haven't. John has been kind of encouraging me for the last 6 months since it happened with the car to come see someone. Just because before that it wasn't as severe, and it was something that I was able to kind of control a little bit more, or it wasn't affecting me as much. So I've never saw a counselor. I've talked to my medical doctor, just my primary care physician, just about anxiety, and so I have a low dose if I need it, but and it helps with my anxiety, but it doesn't necessarily always help with the other symptoms that I have. Such as the obsessions and just the checking and compulsions. So the anxiety medicine helps, but not to the extent I think it needs to. So I think I guess other methods, But yeah, just my medical doctor, and that's pretty much it. I've never been to a counselor, and well, I guess. My husband and I did a little bit of marriage counseling before, so I guess, I forgot about that. But it had no relation, I guess, to my symptoms. It was just part of, have a couple counseling sessions to make sure you're prepared for marriage type thing.
Okay, yeah. Right. So you mentioned a low dose of anxiety medication,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that you can just take whenever you feel.
Yeah, and it's normally at nighttime, just because that's when I'm checking the doors, So I'll take it sometimes to help me sleep or just to not feel the anxiety about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just take like a really small amount. Like normally I'll even break my pills up to halves or into fourths even, just to, just like reduce it a little bit, but I don't want it to like completely affect me to the point like, if my daughter wakes up crying in the middle of the night, like I have to be able to get up and help her. So I don't want it to like knock me out,
Of course. Have you ever had problems not waking up before, or is that just something you don't want to happen?
Not necessarily. I guess I feel like I sleep so soundly when I take it's not even like it's a lot, but like I sleep so soundly to the point that what if I didn't wake up? I mean, I know John would probably, but I don't want to be like out, like I can't help, or what if there's a fire, or what if someone really does break in,
Right.
So, I want it to help my anxiety and lower it, but not to the point where like I can't wake up if I needed to, or feel really drowsy the next morning, So, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned anxiety mostly at night. Could you walk me through a normal day for you?
Yeah, I normally get up around 6 a.m. with my daughter, and we have breakfast. And I normally make her like some oatmeal, or I make myself oatmeal. She's still on baby food. So we do that, and we have playtime, and we'll put on some TV and everything. John gets up and goes to work at like 7:30. I mean, he gets up with me with Sadie, but he'll get up, make himself breakfast and coffee. She has a nap time at like 12 o'clock. And so during that time, that's when I'm really like cleaning and focusing on the sheets and the beds and all that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, she normally sleeps for like an hour or so. So around 1 o'clock, she gets up. If I have to run errands, we'll go run errands around that time. Like going to the grocery store. Sometimes I'll go to like the cleaners to pick up John's work clothes. And then I've been trying to get Sadie into like a play group or like a mommy's day out type thing where I can just have her socialize with other kids and then I can run my errands.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't want, if I have like, a problem with the driving, if I pass a pedestrian, I don't necessarily want her to be in the car when I'm, keep checking.
Right.
So it just kind of depends. And, normally when I'm at home, like I try to refrain from driving as much as possible. And just so we can just stay home and I could just do the chores around the house. But yeah, and then John normally gets home around 5:30. And then I make dinner and we do bath time, bedtime around like 7 or so.
Okay.
And then, so like throughout the day, like if I'm home, like I will check the doors and check the windows. But it's mainly after we put Sadie to bed at 7 where I'm really checking the doors. So like during the day it's like dishes and cleaning, and then it kind of is more severe with like checking the doors that's later at night.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we try to go to bed around like 10:30, 11. Just kind of depends. If I can go to bed earlier, I try to, just because Sadie's gonna have me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah.
It sounds like you have a very full day and might not be very restful for you.
Yeah, and I'm always, if Sadie's down, like I feel like I need to take that time to get some rest.
Mm-hmm.
They say like when they're sleeping, you should be sleeping.
Right.
So I should be sleeping, but I'm not. I'm doing things that are unnecessary. So, I think if I got that time back, it would make a really big difference in my day because I would be able to interact with Sadie in the way that I want to, and not just like have to get up and leave to do something that I feel is necessary, or I feel is necessary but isn't necessary.
Right.
So I think if I got that time back, it would make a big difference in my day, and just having like the lower stress and the lower anxiety, would make a huge difference. And even in my relationship with John, because he, like I said, like I think he understands, but to the extent that he can. But I think that, you know, we would be able to have date night more, or, you know, enjoy watching a movie, or even like dinner, you know, like sitting down and having a nice dinner together, because I wouldn't be worrying about all those other things, and just like be, I guess, and enjoy the time that I guess live in the moment, you know, as people say.
Yeah. As you're, you know, talking, you're saying things like be in the moment, decrease the amount of time that you spend like checking, reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and these are all, you know, behaviors that we can work on, and I can give you some, you know, methods to reduce your stress and anxiety, and you know, it's great that you have already, you know, put them in terms that make, you know, really achievable goals.
Right.
So I think that's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think I have a good idea about your symptoms. I think I would like to just ask a little bit more in the remainder of our time about just a little bit more about your support system. Like, do you have? You said you were trying to get into the Mommy and Me program. Do you have any like people that you can talk to about this besides your family, or?
I have one good friend that I met when I used to work some retail, just a little bit on the side while I was pregnant. So I have a good friend that I met through that, and she has been really amazing through the process. You know, because she knew how I was before, which I think is important, just because, you know, she noticed the change in me, you know? So she's been really helpful, and I think having her has been helpful. But, I mean, I think it's similar with John. Like, she understands as much as she possibly can, but she doesn't have the same symptoms, so I think it's, you know, there's a little bit of a disconnect in that way. But she acknowledges when I'm, you know, if we're, like, in the same car, she'll be like, you know, Sally, you did not hit them. It's okay. They're standing. Like, they're upright. They're not bleeding. Like, it's okay. You know, everything is okay. So, like, that reassurance is really helpful because, you know, if I'm by myself, I just constantly check until I can't see them anymore. And so having her in my life has really been helpful, and I see her as often as I can. It's not something that I necessarily, like, outright say to people, you know, like, oh, this is what, you know, what's going on. And I guess, like, it sounds like I have, you know, like, maybe even OCD. I don't know. I've never been, like, properly diagnosed. But I don't want to be like, if that is what I'm going through, you know, I'll be like, oh, hey, I have OCD, you know, because just, like, people are immediately just going to label me with that, I guess. And, like, unless they're with me at home, really, or in the car, like, they're really not going to know,
Right.
You know, because, you know, even, like, sometimes I do, like, I'll count. It just kind of depends. It's not all the time. But if I'm in a room that has, like, the squares, which now that I see these squares, like, I'll start counting them and, you know, just, like, recounting them. But that's things that are personal and, like, in my head, and so other people can't see that, you know.
Right.
So, like, my neighbor, Christine, she'll come over and she knows because, you know, if she's in my house and we're talking, I'll be like, you know, hold that thought, and I'll just go and, like, check everything, you know, for, like, 15 minutes, which is, like, way too much time to lock doors and recheck locked doors. And she's supportive, too. And just along with John, she just kind of told me, like, you know, maybe it's time to, you know, go see someone and get help because it's taking out a lot of time out of your day. And while it's not really hurting my relationships, it's taking time out of the, you know, those relationships. So I think that, I think they all acknowledge the change in me. And I mean, I'm glad that it's not, like, really harmful to me, you know, like, thankfully, like, I don't feel suicidal. I don't feel helpless, I guess. Well, no, I guess that's not true. I feel helpless if I, you know, if I hurt somebody and I can't do anything about it, or I feel like I hurt somebody, you know, that I do feel helpless then. But yeah, everyone's pretty great for the most part. They just encourage me to come see you, and so I can make changes in my life, and I know that they'll help me do that and help me acknowledge when I'm doing things, you know, and I think that's important. I think it's really important to have, you know, that support system, and I'm really lucky because I know a lot of people who don't. I was thinking about trying to find like a support group or something, because I do think it would be important to find someone who was feeling what I was feeling or understood that, you know, because while people are trying to be empathetic and like understand as much as they can, you know, they can't fully understand what I'm going through. So I think if I went to a support group, it might help me. And then I can, you know, not have to hide like who I am and, you know, what I go through, because it is a big part of my life, and it does affect, you know, my day, and it affects my family, and it affects my friendships. And you know, I don't work anymore, but I bet it would really severely affect my work. Because I did go to college, and I got a business degree, and I was going to open up my own little boutique. So, but I can imagine, like, if I had, I mean, I hope to be able to do that in a few years, you know, when Sadie does get a little older. But until then, you know, I'll be at home with her. But if I, you know, try to open up my shop, I mean, am I going to be, you know, worried about the doors, or like not be able to sleep at night because I'm worried about my store? And that's like, I feel like an added responsibility, because, you know, I can control my doors at home, and I can control my windows at home, you know, to an extent. But like, I don't know if my key holder or whatnot like locked up my store, or if someone robbed it, or, you know, is my, you know, is all the money correct? Do I have the right deposit slips? I mean, are all the hangers in line properly? I don't know. I just feel like I would have so many thoughts, and then I really wouldn't be able to sleep. So,
yeah. It sounds like that would be a lot that you would have to consider. Is it something that you think you would enjoy outside of being anxious about the store at the end of the night?
Yeah, I mean, I think like right now and how I feel right now, like it doesn't, like if I'm weighing like benefits and like, I guess like the cost, as in like my anxiety and, you know, how I feel and my symptoms, I feel like the cost just overweighed the benefits as of right now.
Okay.
Even though like I really enjoy it and I love fashion and things like that, but I think that it would drive me like crazy more than, you know, more than I would enjoy it, you know. So I hope that I can get to that point where I can, I guess, find a better coping mechanism, and then I can, you know, if I go into the store and the deposit is wrong, like that's okay, just like we'll fix it, you know, and that would be it. Or just even driving to work, you know, and just if I pass a pedestrian. So, I guess it's like simple pleasures, you know, that I hope to be able to get back in the future. And then I think like once I'm able to do that, I can, you know, Sadie will be back in, or hopefully like in preschool or going into kindergarten. I can work during the day while she's in class. And then I can come and get her. And then, you know, that would be my ideal life, like moving to the future. It would just be symptom-free for the most part, or, you know, only checking the doors, you know, for a total of an hour during the day instead of like 4, you know. Like for me, that would be a dramatic change.
And almost sounds like a relief too as well, right?
It would be a huge relief. Yeah, and I think that I would be able to accept like the little things, or like the pleasurable things in life again, instead of like, I guess I feel like I'm nitpicking at like everything and just like worried about all these things that it's just unreasonable, takes up time, you know, just not helpful, I guess. It's just overall.
Earlier you used the word hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
Could you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I guess like it's mainly like when I'm driving, because, like washing the dishes or the sheets or whatnot, like that is something that I'm in control of, and I'm not harming anyone in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm driving and like I have the thought that I had hurt or I had accidentally killed somebody by hitting them with my car, like that is like the scariest thought,
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like hopeless and helpless, because like I'm looking at the person, like they're physically standing there, and I'm checking in my mirror, looking at all my mirrors, even like looking back a little bit, to check, and like they're okay, but and like no matter like what I do, like if I'm trying to tell myself like they're fine, like don't worry about it, that I like I can't get that through my head, so like I just feel helpless in the way that I can't make the changes, even though like I acknowledge that it's not okay. I mean, it's okay that I have the thoughts, but it's not okay that it's so as constant as it is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I haven't been able to make any changes on my own. And even though like John helps me acknowledge it, like I can't do anything about it. So it's like, why, like even acknowledging it sometimes makes it worse, because I'm like, well, I'm doing it again, but I can't stop myself. So I'm tired of feeling the same way and feeling like the burden, I guess, on me that just can never be lifted off my shoulders. So, and even like all the self-talk that I try to do, like about like that the person's okay, or the dishes are clean enough, like I've been scrubbing them for 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's fine, but saying that to myself, it just doesn't get through. It doesn't make me stop.
Yeah, that sounds very difficult.
Mm-hmm. It's very time consuming, distressing. It's just tired of it. I'm ready for a change in my life.
Okay. And a change that would be a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had thoughts about just like taking your life or harming yourself in any way?
I haven't, thankfully. No. Yeah. I've never. I know my brother did at one point, just when he was going through like all the bullying at school,
Mm-hmm.
but I have never like personally had that thought, just because I know that now if I actually did hit someone, maybe, but as of right now, no, I don't.
So it sounds like you're very afraid about possibly hitting somebody.
Very, yes.
But thankfully, you haven't, and
Mm-hmm.
It's good that you have never thought about killing yourself. I think that's a great sign.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that, and like I know that there are struggles in my life and everything, but I also like have I feel like I have like the hope at the same time to like keep moving forward, because like I want to have a really great relationship with my husband. I want to have a great life with Sadie. I want to give her everything that she deserves. So, and I know that if I had taken my own life, that I would not be able to give her those things and, have the relationship with my husband. And I know that it would also, harm like my parents and my brother. Like it would just, for like how I feel in my mental state, like I don't feel like it would be beneficial for me. I've never felt, I guess, depressed in that way. I just have like the anxiety.
Okay. So your support system is very compelling for you.
Yeah, and I think that just because they suffer with the anxiety too, like we can talk about it and like we understand each other. Mine's a little bit different than theirs, but we just like everything is just very open. Like I don't feel like I have to hide myself or my symptoms from at least any of my family. Mm-hmm. So they they've always been really supportive. I talk to my mom daily, and she always asks how I'm doing, and she was really encouraging for me to come and see you and get help. She did see a counselor a few years ago, which helped her get through some personal things that she had going on. Mm-hmm. And and then she got the anxiety medication, which, overall, like, really benefited her. So, she's a huge advocate for therapy and, any kind of self-talk and everything. So she encouraged me as well to come and see you. And I think that having her as a support system, has been really beneficial, because if I had someone that, didn't support therapy or didn't support even medication, I think that would make it even more difficult for me, because, if I can talk to someone and have, like, a coping mechanism to get better, and then, like, I feel like it's a domino effect, like, if I didn't have a support system, then I wouldn't go to therapy, then I wouldn't be able to get help, and then my family would, be harmed for that reason. I wouldn't get help, I would still have these thoughts or, compulsions and whatnot for the rest of my life. And while I still might, I feel like at the same time I can get them down to a level where it's not as distressing in my daily life. And so I'm glad to kind of have, like, a different kind of domino effect, like it's a positive one, and which has led me here, and I hope that it continues to lead me to, like, having some freedom, I guess, from these symptoms.
Yeah, I think that's a very realistic goal, and I think it's great that you do have your support and that you are remaining hopeful. And I think that's definitely something that we can continue to work towards.
Thank you. I also don't want my daughter to, like, look at me and be like, what is she doing? Like, I know that I won't be able to probably get rid of it completely, but I never want my daughter to see us or see me in that light that, that I'm crazy or something. I just never want her to think that. But at the same time, like, I want her to know, like, it's okay to get help, and that mental illness is okay, and, like, everyone, has probably something going on at some point in their life. We all need help. We all need support. So, while I don't want her to see me, like, in a really weak state to the point where it's affecting our family, I want her to still be able to, like, accept and, like, recognize if something's different or that there's a change, and be able to get help for it. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want her to learn from me either. Like, I don't want her to see that I'm checking the door, or, like, what I do for 4 hours a day, is normal. And then for her to become, have the same symptoms or something like that. So I think that I just want to change for the better for her, I guess, is really, like, the basis of my want to change, as well as relief.
Our children can be a very motivating factor for us.
Yes, she absolutely makes me want to be a better person, a better mom, and just, I guess, just grow as an individual.
That's great. I think we are about at a stopping point for today. So, would you like to go ahead and schedule another meeting for maybe next week?
Yes, I would really appreciate that, to see you next week.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get that scheduled. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.